You know, it's actually funny. Um, I was literally in the middle of filming this video, and then I got a phone call, and everything went to crap. And it gave me an opportunity to kind of put into practice the things I'm gonna be talking about today. I was gonna make a video talking about the Xbox price increases. I mean, what more can you really say about that? Hey, you know, this is an investment piece now. I bought this for $500. Now it's 800. I'll sell it to you for 650. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to sell this quite yet. I do like third-party games on Xbox. I don't know. It's just the controller that I like. But this isn't going to be a video game related video. I was going to call this video Change, but every time I use the word change, I think of the South Park episode with Randy and Obama. Celebrate good Obama, come on. Because I think it's very funny. But I went with growth. Um, and yeah, you know, it's going to be one of these videos. So if you don't care, just feel free to click off. Leave a like at least before you go. Um, the past 10 days have not been good for me. And I've talked about it, you know, somewhat. But I haven't really discussed the whole, like, the depths of the situation because it's not about that necessarily. It's just been very, very hard with my stepdad, what's been happening with him, and then Billy passing away. And, you know, looking at these two situations and these things all happening really within the past, I guess, 8 days, but we'll just say 10 because I've already said 10. It's been a lot, been a lot for me. And I try not to, hark too much on it in my videos because I still want to make entertaining videos. But, if maybe I can make a video that helps someone in some sort of way or they resonate with something I say, like that's just as important as entertaining people and giving my thoughts and stuff on certain topics. I've said a lot about the Billy thing and his passing. I made a video on the second channel about it. But like the timing of that coinciding along with what's happening with my stepdad, it's been a lot. And I'm the type of person where I am a procrastinator, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can potentially resonate with that. If something has to be done by the 30th, I'm doing it on the 29th or the morning of the 30th. And I don't really know how I became that way. Was I always like that? I don't think so. But somewhere along the way, I really started to lean in towards procrastination. And it could be because of, other things I have, that I deal with or whatever, anxiety and fun stuff like that. But maybe that's kind of fed into it. But, I'm definitely a procrastinator, and I'm definitely very reactive towards things. And not necessarily proactive. And I wouldn't say that's with everything. I can be proactive with things like work and stuff like that. But with like personal issues, I'm very reactive. I like to see kind of what an individual wants or needs or this, that, or the other, instead of like taking the initiative and being like, this is what I'm going to do and this is how it's going to be. Because honestly, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I've had to do something like that, where that had to become the normal thing. Like I don't have kids and stuff like that. I feel like parents and stuff are probably much more proactive to protect their kids and stuff like that. But I don't have anything like that. I myself, I'm still just a big idiot, a big kid. So when faced with situations like that, like sometimes I don't know what to do. And then that kind of ties into the title of this video, which is growth. Because honestly, I feel like the past 8 to 10 days, I have probably done the most growth as a person that I've ever done in my entire 40 years of existence. Because I'm very, tongue in cheek, go with the flow, easygoing. But with these situations, especially with my stepdad, it's been hard, man. Like last Friday, after the Nintendo Direct, it was a shit show, man. I literally I literally laid down on the couch for a few minutes and I woke up to a text and it was just like everything was crumbling down. And it wasn't necessarily like, oh, his health went super bad. It was his mental. And I kept trying to call him and we had it out on the phone once he finally picked up and he started, hanging up on me. And I was like, do not hang up. Like I tears in my eyes, sobbing. And he just didn't get it. And I don't fault him for that because of the things that he's going through right now. But he just didn't get it. And I was so mad. I was sad. I was frustrated. And I literally turned to like a demon. Like when I was younger, when I was in my teenagers, I had very bad anger problems, extremely bad anger problems. And I hadn't felt that way since like some of those things that happened when I was a teenager. And it felt good at some regard because I do bottle up a lot of things, but it was also just me being reactive and, not being, not trying to be proactive with it, not trying to take better control of the situation, letting the very few other people that are around for this kind of take control and, tell me what they need. And I realized that like it was not good for my mental, sleepless nights, always worried when the phone rings or text. And I get it. Some people aren't on their phone all the time. I am because of my work, work, by the way. But, I am because I'm always looking. Oh, did something happen? Oh, somebody send me a message. Somebody wants me to talk about this, that, the other. I'm always on my phone. And because of that, it became like when my phone would ring or I'd get a text message, literally a shiver down my spine. It's like, oh my God, what is going on now? And him and I had a very hard talk, and I took it in a manner of a lot of emotion from a reactive standpoint. But honestly, the past like 3 days, I've realized I can't do that. Like I can't do that for myself because I don't really, care about me as much as, other people around me, and I'm willing to sacrifice stuff. But there comes a point in time where you do have to look after yourself. You do have to look after your mental, and it's not being selfish. It's just, creating boundaries, letting people know that like, this is what I can do. And I can't do anything kind of beyond this because maybe you're not comfortable with it. Maybe it's something that you don't want to, enable a situation. And so now the situation honestly has kind of changed. And going back to that phone call I just had, I've basically outlined things that I'm going to do and I'm willing to do and that I can do to help him. And it's a lot. It's a lot, trust me. But when he has these little instances of where, now he's, oh, everyone's against me and blah, 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 I'm not taking it from an emotional standpoint of sadness and concern. I'm realizing that you have to grow as a person and become proactive with it. And sometimes, it maybe it is like being a parent a little bit with this situation because I've had to say things to him that I don't necessarily want to say or, or put in his head, but it's for the betterment of not only him and not only of the situation, but me as well. And so now it's like, look, pal, all right, this is how we're going to have to do things because the other alternative, you're not going to like those other alternatives. Like people are doing things for you, whether it's time, money, driving you around or stuff like that, but you still have a long ways to go. And sometimes I think he forgets that. And that's kind of what frustrated me. But there are so many options that he has, but he's a very stubborn person. So, trying to get that through to him has been difficult. But, I go back to the growth thing. Because 10 days ago, 8 days ago, whatever it is, if we had the same conversation that we just had, prior to me firing up the camera and the recording software again, because he called during that, I would have been a complete emotional mess. I would have been, just drained and, standoffish and reactive. But now that I've taken a more proactive route, like, it feels so much better for me. And it feels so much better to convey to him that, like, hey, man, you got to chill. We're doing a lot. Things are going to be good. You just got to chill for a little bit. And I understand a lot of this. Without a lot of context, this probably sounds kind of weird. And I'm kind of going under the assumption that everyone knows he's had 2 strokes. The second stroke has affected him mentally, so it's kind of like dealing with a different person, which has been very frustrating. But you have to grow, and you have to look after others, but you also got to look after yourself at the end of the day. You got to make sure that you're okay in all of this too, and you can't overextend yourself. And especially when it's something like this, that there are options out there, and you're not a bad person for doing stuff like that. You're not a bad person for setting up restrictions, for setting up boundaries, for being firm with people, for not letting it get you super emotional, but understanding the bigger picture and understanding the long term and the long game in this than the short game. Because a year from now, I expect him to be much better, but it's just kind of getting to that point that has been the struggle. So yeah, there's a lot of growth going on over here. You know what I'm saying? But I just kind of wanted to share this. Like I said, Xbox price increase. Who gives a shit, man? It seems like everything's just going up, and who knows? Maybe I'll talk about that another day. But check in with yourself, man. Don't let yourself wither away because of situations that are kind of really out of your control. Do what you can and understand that, being proactive, growing as a person, having boundaries with certain things, that doesn't make you a bad person. If anything, that makes you a good person, because that makes it so that you are protecting yourself. Because if you can't protect yourself, what can you really do for others? All right. So yeah, if you stuck around to the end of this video, you're a trooper, and I love you. You're good people. I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.